Sadly, all good things must come to an end, and it's the end of these players ever being on my fantasy teams ever again. These are 10 players I will never draft in fantasy ever again. Starting with Cooper Kupp, who looked very, very dusty down the stretch, going to be over 31 years old now. We know Puka Nacua is the guy here. Puka Nacua, the clear alpha wide receiver, just going to get better and better. Not to mention, this passing attack did not give me a lot of confidence down the stretch going into next year. Don't feel great about Stafford. Don't feel great about this passing attack. Yes, there is enough here to support Puka as a high-end wide receiver one, an elite wide receiver in fantasy, but I don't think there's enough here to support Puka and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp looking dusty, getting older, always concerned for injury, looking more like a blocking wide receiver than a pass-catching wide receiver these days. I am done with Cooper Kupp in fantasy, and I'm also done with Deebo Samuel in fantasy football. I don't know what happened to this guy last year. I really thought this was a guy like, round 3, round 4, had that kind of upside you were looking for, but he didn't until finally when it was too late and you were eliminated. You finally had that one random big game. But what are we looking at for Deebo Samuel going into next year? He didn't look like the same explosive guy. He's getting older. He may not be back with the 49ers. Yes, he's still under contract, but they could cut him. They could trade him. And if he goes somewhere else, is it really going to be better for Deebo Samuel than it was with the 49ers? Probably not here. So Deebo Samuel, another wide receiver, getting up there in age. Looks like his best days are probably behind him. That explosiveness just doesn't look like it's there anymore. So Deebo Samuel, okay, sure. Maybe if Deebo Samuel falls way, way, way far in drafts, I'll reluctantly pick him. But that's probably not going to happen because people are going to see the name Deebo Samuel and they're going to draft him too soon. So Deebo Samuel, probably not going to be drafted by me in 2025. And then I am definitely not going to be drafting Amari Cooper. I was pretty much out on Amari Cooper by the midway point of the 2024 season. Even when he went to the Bills, I think I got suckered in a little bit when he went to the Bills, but within a game or two, I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I am done with this guy, done with Amari Cooper. He had that one random huge game and everybody was like, okay, here we go. And then he completely disappeared the very next week. I don't care if he's back with the Bills next year. I don't care if he goes signs with some other team. This guy's going to be 31 years old next year. Didn't even look good this year. Guys don't get better in their 30s. They get worse. Amari Cooper certainly going to be worse than he was in 2024, which was pretty bad. So Amari Cooper, sorry. I don't care how far you fall in drafts. You're not going to be on my teams. And I'm done getting trapped by Kyle Pitts. My goodness, how many times have I been trapped by Kyle Pitts? I know there's going to be so many comments down there how do you keep falling for Kyle Pitts? Well, you're right. I don't know how, but I'm done falling for Kyle Pitts. I thought Kirk Cousins, he could finally unlock the potential of Kyle Pitts. Nope, he couldn't do it. Michael Penix Jr. couldn't do it. I don't think there is anybody that can do it. This guy's going to be one of those guys that's just going to continually live off of what he did in college, the athleticism, the potential, the hype, but never really showing the production or the results that you want in fantasy or in real life. So Kyle Pitts, I don't care where he falls in tight ends. I don't care if he's the last tight end being drafted. Even if he was the last tight end drafted this year, did you really want Kyle Pitts? No, he was pretty much unstartable every single week, and he's been unstartable most of his career. So I'm finally done with Kyle Pitts. And then I'm probably not alone saying I'm done with Raheem Mostert. Man, when we look back at 2023 when he scored 21 touchdowns over the age of 30, we're going to say, how? How did this happen? This had to be one of the flukiest, most outlier seasons in the history of the NFL. A running back that old who really didn't do much for his whole career, just going out there and leading the NFL in touchdowns. Well, definitely regressed in 2024. Did not lead the NFL in anything in 2024, and it's not going to get better for him in 2025. What is the path here for Raheem Mostert? Every Dolphins running back gets hurt, and even then they'll probably just pick up somebody off the street and start him over Raheem Mostert. Barely was playing snaps down the stretch, barely was getting the ball. There is no way you can draft Raheem Mostert in 2025, and I definitely will not be. And I think I had DeAndre Hopkins on this list last year, and I did not draft DeAndre Hopkins anywhere, but I did fall for DeAndre Hopkins when he got traded to the Chiefs. I was like, okay, maybe this can salvage him. And it did for a game, and then where did DeAndre Hopkins go? Look, maybe he'll do something in the playoffs here, get people to buy back in, but not me. You're not going to fool me, DeAndre Hopkins. This guy's going to be 33 years old. Might not even be back with the Chiefs. And even if he is back with the Chiefs, is that really a good thing for DeAndre Hopkins' fantasy value? I don't think so. So DeAndre Hopkins, if he even plays in 2025, wherever he plays in 2025, I really don't care because he won't be playing for any of my fantasy teams. And man, Zamir White, I wouldn't say I was all in on Zamir White, but I was definitely in on Zamir White, and wow, what a mistake that was. After having a nice finish to the year in 2023, head coach Antonio Pierce talking him up as a workhorse running back. Yeah, he was not a workhorse running back. Even to start the season, we were seeing more Alexander Mattison than we wanted, and he was terrible, averaging less than 3 yards per carry. I don't know what would have to happen with the Raiders offense for me to buy back into Zamir White. I do know what would need to happen. Nothing. There's nothing that could happen that would get me to buy back into Zamir White. This guy was terrible. The Raiders offense will probably be terrible again. Yeah, I'm just out on Zamir White and the Raiders offense completely. Whatever they do this offseason, whether they improve the quarterback play, the offensive line, whether Antonio Pierce or whoever the head coach is talks him up, do not care. I am 100% out on Zamir White in 2025. And then Curtis Samuel's another player that I've fallen for multiple times over the years. Feeling like when he went to Washington with Ron Rivera, I fell for him. And then this year when he signed with the Bills, I thought, okay, well, who do the Bills have? They have Khalil Shakir. Stephon Diggs is gone. Gabe Davis is gone. They got rookie Keon Coleman. There's a path. There's a path here for Curtis Samuel. Nope, there was no path for Curtis Samuel. He was pretty much terrible, pretty much uninvolved in the offense all year long. Again, he's getting up there in age, pushing 30 years old. I don't care where he plays in 2025, whether he stays with the Bills, goes somewhere else. It does not matter to me. No more. Done drafting Curtis Samuel. And then I'm done with Javonte Williams as well. I really thought Javonte Williams was going to be the lead back for this Broncos offense that was going to be better than people thought. And guess what? He was. He was the lead back. And guess what? The Broncos offense was better than people thought it was going to be. But it didn't matter for Javonte Williams because he was absolutely horrible this year. He was so bad they stopped giving this guy carries. He just turned into like a change of pace pass catching back. He basically turned into a younger Samaje Perine. What has happened to Javonte Williams? This guy looked good as a rookie, had the talent, looked pretty good prior to the ACL. Maybe he just hasn't been the same since the ACL. I don't know, but he was horrible this year. Whether he's back with the Broncos, somewhere else, it does not matter to me. Javonte Williams, sadly, for fantasy, you are dead to me. And then we knew the risk with Gus Edwards, but we also thought, hey, this guy could score double-digit touchdowns in this Chargers offense if he's the lead back. And again, he was kind of the lead back. He was getting more touches than J.K. Dobbins earlier, but he was much, much worse than J.K. Dobbins. He was worse than a running back who was coming off an Achilles tear, who also tore his ACL. How are you worse than a running back like that? I don't know, but he was. Gus Edwards, I don't even know if he's going to be back with the Chargers. Don't even know if he's going to be in the NFL next year, to be honest. But I do know this. He's not going to be drafted by me anywhere in fantasy next year. I am not falling for this trap again. Gus Edwards, it was fine for like a year or two, but your time is over. You will not be on any of my fantasy teams in 2025. So there you go. Those are the 10 players I am never drafting again in fantasy football. But are you curious what the first round of fantasy drafts might look like in 2025? Well, we broke it all down in this video right here.